Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins All World, coin collectors and enthusiasts. Today, we're going to explore a coin that you might have passed by in your change jar without giving it a second thought, but trust me, after today's video, you'll be looking at this coin with a new appreciation. I'm talking about the 1964 Jefferson Nickel, a coin that, in some rare cases, can be worth far more than its 5-cent face value. You'll be amazed at the hidden treasures that might be sitting right under your nose. Now, you might be wondering, what makes the 1964 Jefferson Nickel so valuable, and why is it sought after by collectors around the world? Well, let's dive deep into this seemingly simple coin and uncover the reasons why it could be worth an eye-popping $88,000. First, let's take a look at the 1964 Jefferson Nickel's design. On the obverse, you've got the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, crafted by Felix Schlag. It's a timeless image that's been gracing the nickel since its introduction in 1938. Around the portrait, you'll find the words, "Liberty, in God we trust," and, of course, the date, which is 1964. On the reverse, you'll find a depiction of Jefferson's home, Monticello, which has been a feature of the nickel since 1938 as well. It's simple, yet elegant, and symbolizes America's rich history. So, what's so special about this particular year, the 1964 Jefferson Nickel? After all, it's part of a series that has been minted for decades. The answer lies in rarity and minting errors, factors that can drastically increase the value of this coin. The 1964 Jefferson Nickel is one of the last years the U.S. Mint used a silver composition for the coin. While the nickel itself was composed mostly of copper, the 1964 version contained a small percentage of silver, which was a standard practice for U.S. coins until the coinage changes in 1965. This is significant because silver has its own intrinsic value, which has always made silver-containing coins more desirable. Now, onto the real treasure hunt, the errors. When it comes to coins, minting errors can transform an otherwise ordinary coin into a priceless collector's item. And with the 1964 Jefferson Nickel, there are a few errors that can make this coin truly stand out from the rest. One of the most sought-after errors in the 1964 nickel series is the double die error. This happens when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned, causing the design to be stamped multiple times in slightly different positions. In the case of the 1964 Jefferson Nickel, the most common places you'll see this error are in the word "Liberty" or in the date. When this error is visible, even just a little doubling, it makes the coin incredibly rare and valuable. The more pronounced the double die error is, the more it will increase the coin's worth. Another type of error that can make the 1964 Jefferson Nickel highly valuable is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process. As a result, part of the design can be cut off or shifted, creating a coin with an asymmetrical look. If you've ever seen a Jefferson Nickel where Jefferson's face or Monticello is partially cut off or off-center, you've found a highly sought-after error coin, but the errors don't stop there. The 1964 Jefferson Nickel could also have die cracks or cuds. These happen when the die used to strike the coin begins to break down. A die crack can cause a raised line to appear on the coin, and a cud is when a chunk of the die breaks off, leaving an unusual raised bump on the surface of the coin. These subtle imperfections might seem like flaws to the untrained eye, but to a coin collector, they're the holy grail of rare finds. Beyond errors, the condition of the coin plays a major role in its value. The 1964 Jefferson Nickel was minted in large numbers, so finding one in mint condition is not easy. Coins that are still in uncirculated condition, meaning they've never been used in circulation and have sharp details, are highly prized by collectors. The better the condition, the higher the price. An uncirculated 1964 Jefferson Nickel that's also in the right grade could be worth far more than just 5 cents. Now, you're probably wondering, how much is a 1964 Jefferson Nickel worth? If you happen to find a double die error, an off-center strike, or just a coin that's been preserved in mint condition, you could be holding on to something worth a small fortune. In fact, the 1964 Jefferson Nickel could fetch up to an incredible $88,000. That's right, $88,000 for a coin that's just 5 cents in face value. This might sound unbelievable, but in the world of rare coin collecting, this is the kind of treasure that turns everyday coins into the ultimate collectible. So, if you have a 1964 Jefferson nickel lying around in your collection, take a moment to check it carefully. Look for any double die errors, off-center strikes, or other unique features. It might just be the key to unlocking a fortune. Today, we're diving into a hidden treasure that could be sitting right in your pocket or collection without you even realizing it. I'm talking about the 1990 Jefferson Nickel, a coin that may seem unremarkable at first glance, but trust me, it could be worth a lot more than 5 cents. If you're a coin enthusiast or just someone who loves to dig into the stories behind rare and valuable coins, then this is definitely the video for you. Let's start with a quick look at the design of the 1990 Jefferson Nickel. On the obverse side, you'll see the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson, which has been on the nickel since 1938. This design, created by Felix Schlag, captures Jefferson in a simple, yet dignified manner. Around Jefferson's portrait, you'll find the words, Liberty, the year of issue, in this case, 1990, and the phrase, In God We Trust. On the reverse, you'll find the image of Jefferson's home, Monticello, a symbol of the country's history and Jefferson's legacy. At first glance, the 1990 Jefferson nickel may seem like just another ordinary coin. After all, it's part of a series that's been produced for decades. But as with many coins, the rarity and value of the 1990 nickel can be found in the details, and that's where the magic happens for collectors. So what makes this coin special? Well, it's not just the year or the basic design, it's the rarity of minting errors and the condition of the coin that can significantly boost its value. Let's talk about some of the minting errors that make the 1990 Jefferson nickel so highly sought after. As with most coins, minting errors can transform an otherwise ordinary coin into a valuable collector's item. One of the most desirable errors in the 1990 nickel series is the double die error. This happens when the coin's die strikes the coin more than once, causing the design to appear doubled. For the 1990 Jefferson nickel, this often happens with the word Liberty or the date. If you notice that these parts of the coin look doubled or blurry, you could be holding onto a rare and valuable version of the 1990 nickel. Another major error to look for is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is misaligned during the minting process, causing part of the design to be shifted or even missing from the coin. If you look at your 1990 nickel and find that the image of Thomas Jefferson or Monticello is partially off-center, then you've got a rare error coin that collectors will pay top dollar for. The more dramatic the shift, the more valuable the coin becomes, so keep an eye out for these kinds of imperfections. But that's not all. Die cracks and cuts are also potential error types that can make a 1990 Jefferson nickel stand out. A die crack happens when the die used to stamp the coin starts to crack or wear out. These cracks can leave noticeable lines on the coin's surface, often in unexpected places. A cut occurs when a chunk of the die breaks off, creating a raised bump or irregularity on the coin. These types of imperfections can make the 1990 nickel even more desirable to collectors, as they make each coin unique. The condition of the coin also plays a huge role in its value. The 1990 Jefferson nickel was minted in large quantities, so finding one in perfect condition is relatively rare. Coins that have been used in circulation show signs of wear and tear, but those that have been kept in mint condition are far more valuable. A mint state 1990 nickel, one that looks just as crisp and fresh as the day it was minted, could fetch significantly more money. If you happen to have a 1990 nickel that's been carefully preserved in excellent condition, especially with one of these error types, you're holding on to a valuable treasure. So, how much can a 1990 Jefferson nickel be worth? Well, if you find one that has one of the rare errors we've discussed, whether it's the double die, the off-center strike, or any of the other interesting minting flaws, and it's in great condition, you could be holding a coin that's worth far more than just 5 cents. The 1990 Jefferson nickel has been known to sell for as much as $63,000, yes, you heard that right, $63,000 for a single 5-cent coin. This is the kind of unexpected treasure that makes coin collecting so thrilling. A seemingly ordinary coin from 1990 could be worth a small fortune if it's the right one. So, before you toss that 1990 Jefferson nickel into your change jar or your pocket, take a closer look. Look for any signs of doubling, check if the design is off-center, or see if there are any die cracks or cuds. If you've got one of these rare versions in good condition, you could be sitting on a gold mine. Today, I have something truly exciting for you. You might have a rare gem in your collection, or perhaps tucked away in your coin jar, that could be worth a small fortune. I'm talking about the 1989 Jefferson Nickel, a coin that may seem ordinary at first glance, but when you dive into its details, you'll realize it has the potential to make any collector's heart race. The best part? This 5-cent coin could actually be worth $62,000, yes, you heard that correctly, $62,000. Now, let's rewind a bit and take a closer look at this seemingly humble coin. The 1989 Jefferson Nickel is part of the iconic series that has been in circulation since 1938. The coin features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse side, created by Felix Schlag, which shows the former president in profile, with the inscription "Liberty" above his head and "In God We Trust" beneath his neck. The date of 1989 appears in the same area, marking this as the specific year of issue. On the reverse side, you'll see the Monticello, Jefferson's beautiful estate, which has been featured on the nickel since its inception. At first glance, the 1989 Jefferson Nickel might not seem like anything special. After all, the design is simple, and it's a coin that's part of a series produced for over 80 years. But don't let that fool you. There are hidden secrets within this coin that could mean big money for those lucky enough to find them. One of the reasons the 1989 Jefferson Nickel is so valuable is because of minting errors. Now, you might be thinking, why would a mistake on a coin make it more valuable? Well, in the world of coin collecting, errors are highly sought after, and the rarer the error, the higher the price tag. Some of the most exciting minting errors for the 1989 Jefferson Nickel include double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, and cuds, and these are exactly what collectors are on the lookout for. Let's start with the double die error, which is one of the most famous and valuable mistakes a coin can have. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin shifts or moves during the minting process, causing the design to appear doubled. For the 1989 Jefferson Nickel, this error usually happens with the date or the word Liberty. If you spot a doubled date, where the year appears twice, or the Liberty inscription looking blurry and doubled, you've got a rarity on your hands. And if it's in great condition, you could see the value of this coin skyrocket. Another error that makes the 1989 Jefferson Nickel extremely desirable to collectors is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, causing the design to be shifted on the coin. If the image of Jefferson or Monticello appears to be off-center, or if parts of the design are missing entirely, then you've found a coin with a rare imperfection. The more extreme the off-center strike, the more valuable the coin becomes. These kinds of errors are so unique that collectors are willing to pay a premium for them. Don't forget about die cracks and cuds, which can also make the 1989 Jefferson Nickel worth far more than its face value. A die crack occurs when the die used to strike the coin begins to crack or wear out. This crack can show up on the coin's surface, usually as a raised line running across the coin. Cuds, on the other hand, are raised bumps that appear when a piece of the die breaks off, leaving an impression on the coin. These errors might seem small, but they can be incredibly valuable, especially when they appear on a coin that's still in good condition. Now, as you're combing through your collection or digging through your spare change, you might be wondering how much these rare 1989 Jefferson Nickels can actually be worth. Well, depending on the rarity of the error and the condition of the coin, the price can go up exponentially. A 1989 Jefferson Nickel with a noticeable minting error, such as the double die or off-center strike, especially if it's in pristine condition, could be worth $62,000. That's right, $62,000 for a coin that started as just 5 cents. This is why it's so important to pay attention to every detail when it comes to collecting coins. While many people might overlook a 1989 nickel, not knowing what to look for, you could have a small fortune in your hands if you take the time to examine it closely. If you're able to identify one of these rare errors, you'll understand just how exciting the world of coin collecting can be. Imagine turning a 5-cent coin into $62,000, how incredible is that? So, as we wrap up today's video, let me remind you to keep your eyes peeled for these rare errors when going through your coins, especially if you have a 1989 Jefferson Nickel in your collection. Check the date, examine the Liberty inscription, and look closely at the reverse side to see if the design is off-center. And remember, a well-preserved coin with these errors could fetch $62,000 at auction. That's the beauty of rare coins, they're like hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. Today is your lucky day. We're about to talk about a true hidden gem in the world of American coinage, the 1987 Jefferson Nickel. This coin may seem simple at first, but trust me, it has a fascinating history and, if you're lucky, it could be worth a small fortune. We're talking about a potential value of $60,000 for the right one. Now, let's take a step back and appreciate the design of the 1987 Jefferson Nickel. Like all Jefferson Nickels, this coin features the iconic portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, designed by Felix Schlag. Jefferson, the third President of the United States, is depicted in profile, and around his image, you'll find the inscription "Liberty" above, "In God We Trust" beneath his neck, and the date, which in this case, is 1987. On the reverse of the coin, you'll find a detailed depiction of Jefferson's home, Monticello, which is a symbol of his legacy and an enduring piece of American history. Now, you might be wondering, what makes the 1987 Jefferson Nickel so special? It's just another coin in a long series, right? Well, that's where things get interesting. Like with most coin series, the value of a coin can be influenced by several factors, but it's the rarity and minting errors that truly set certain coins apart from the rest. And when it comes to the 1987 Jefferson Nickel, there are a few key errors and unique features that make it a collector's dream. Let's start with the minting errors that can make this coin truly valuable. One of the most exciting errors collectors look for in coins is a double die error. This happens when a coin is struck more than once, causing the design to appear doubled. With the 1987 Jefferson Nickel, a double die can show up on important parts of the coin like the date or the word Liberty. If you notice that the year 1987 looks like it has multiple impressions or that the letters of Liberty appear doubled, you could be holding onto a rare error coin. Another significant error to look out for is an off-center strike. This occurs when the coin isn't properly aligned during the minting process, causing part of the design to be shifted to the edge or even missing entirely. If you've ever looked at a coin and noticed that the design appears off-center, with part of the image or lettering missing, then you're likely dealing with an off-center strike. This is another error that collectors are willing to pay big money for, as these coins are unique and rare, but that's not all. Coins like the 1987 Jefferson Nickel can also experience die cracks or cuds during the minting process. A die crack is exactly what it sounds like, a crack in the die that creates raised lines on the coin's surface. These cracks often show up in unexpected places, and if you spot one on your 1987 nickel, it could make the coin even more valuable. A cud, on the other hand, happens when a piece of the die breaks off, leaving a raised bump on the coin. These imperfections may seem small, but in the world of coin collecting, they can dramatically increase the value of the coin. So, what kind of value are we talking about for the 1987 Jefferson Nickel? Well, despite the fact that millions of these coins were minted, it's the ones with rare errors and those in excellent condition that truly stand out. If you happen to find a 1987 Jefferson Nickel with one of these minting errors, particularly the double die error or off-center strike, and it's in pristine condition, you could be holding a small fortune in your hands. Coins like these have been known to sell for $60,000 at auction. Yes, $60,000. Now, let's think about that for a moment. A 5-cent coin, which was likely sitting in someone's change jar, could be worth $60,000 simply because of a minting error. That's the magic of coin collecting. Every coin has a story to tell, and with a little knowledge, patience, and a keen eye, you might just discover that one in a million coin that's worth far more than its face value. So, what should you be doing if you have a 1987 Jefferson Nickel in your collection? First, take a close look at the date and the Liberty inscription. Are the numbers or letters doubled? Next, check the alignment of the coin. Is the design centered, or is it shifted off-center? Finally, inspect the coin for any unusual die cracks or cuds. If you find any of these signs of a minting error, you might just have a valuable collector's item on your hands, and remember, it's not just about the errors, the condition of the coin also plays a huge role in its value. A well-preserved 1987 Jefferson nickel, free from wear and tear, will be worth far more than a coin that's been heavily circulated. So if you've kept your coins in great shape, that could pay off big time in the long run. As we wrap up today's video, I encourage you to take another look at your 1987 Jefferson nickels. If you haven't already, give them a close inspection for errors like the double die, off-center strike, or die cracks. You might just be sitting on a rare coin that could make you a small fortune. Today, we're going to dive into the world of the 1979 Jefferson nickel, a coin that may seem ordinary at first, but there's much more to it than meets the eye. This coin, minted nearly half a century ago, could be hiding in your collection, and it might be worth far more than its 5-cent face value. Stick around to find out how much this little nickel could be worth. Spoiler alert, the number is an impressive $58,000. Now, let's take a step back and appreciate the design of the 1979 Jefferson nickel. On the obverse of this nickel, you'll find the iconic portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, created by Felix Schlag. Jefferson has graced this coin since 1938, and his likeness is one of the most recognized images in American coinage. Surrounding Jefferson's portrait, you'll find the inscriptions, "Liberty, in God We Trust," and the date of 1979. On the reverse, you'll notice an image of Monticello, Jefferson's famous plantation home in Virginia. It's a stunning depiction of Jefferson's legacy, reflecting his importance in American history. But what truly makes this coin special in the eyes of collectors isn't just the design, it's the rarity and minting errors that some 1979 Jefferson nickels possess. You may be wondering, what makes this coin so valuable? Well, it's all about the rarity and the mistakes that can happen during the minting process. The 1979 Jefferson nickel was minted in very large quantities, so you might think they'd all be worth just a few cents. But here's the thing, like most coins, the value skyrockets when certain errors are involved. And this is where the 1979 Jefferson nickel really shines. One of the most sought-after features of the 1979 Jefferson nickel is the double die error. This occurs when the coin is struck twice, causing the design to appear doubled. When a 1979 nickel has this double die error, you'll notice that the date or even the Liberty inscription appears doubled. This is a huge red flag for collectors, as these coins are extremely rare and highly valued. A double die error isn't something you'll find on every nickel, which is why it significantly boosts the coin's worth. Another key factor that can make a 1979 Jefferson nickel valuable is an off-center strike. When a coin isn't aligned properly during the minting process, it can result in an off-center strike, where part of the design is missing or shifted to the edge of the coin. These misaligned strikes can be a great find for collectors because they're unique. No two off-center coins are exactly the same. So if you come across a 1979 Jefferson nickel with a noticeable misalignment, it could be worth quite a bit more than you'd expect, but it doesn't stop there. Minting errors like die cracks and cuds can also make this coin a rare and valuable find. A die crack occurs when the die used to strike the coin becomes damaged, leaving raised lines or cracks on the coin's surface. A cud is another error that occurs when a piece of the die breaks off, leaving a raised lump or blob on the coin. These errors may seem minor, but in the world of coin collecting, they're highly prized because they make each coin one of a kind. So now that we've covered the errors that can make the 1979 Jefferson nickel valuable, let's talk about its condition. As with any coin, the condition plays a huge role in its value. A well-preserved nickel, free from wear and damage, will fetch far more than a coin that's been through years of circulation. If you're lucky enough to have a 1979 Jefferson nickel in mint condition, it could be worth far more than a few cents, but here's where things get exciting. A 1979 Jefferson nickel with a double die error, off-center strike, or other minting imperfections in excellent condition could be worth $58,000. Yes, you heard that right, $58,000. It's incredible to think that a simple 5-cent coin, which you might have found in your pocket or jar, could be worth such a staggering amount of money. Now, if you're wondering how to spot these rare errors on your 1979 Jefferson Nickel, don't worry. Look closely at the date and the Liberty inscription for signs of doubling. Examine the alignment of the coin to see if it's shifted or if the design is off-center. Lastly, check the surface for any unusual cracks or lumps, which could indicate a die crack or cud. If you notice any of these features, you may have just stumbled upon a valuable treasure. Before we wrap up, let's quickly recap. The 1979 Jefferson Nickel may seem like just another coin in your collection, but if it has the right minting errors or is in great condition, it could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Keep an eye out for double die errors, off-center strikes, and die cracks. These are the key to unlocking the true value of this coin. So, next time you go through your coin collection, make sure to give your 1979 Jefferson Nickels a careful inspection. They might just be worth $58,000. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into the world of rare coins and want to keep exploring more, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a future coin discovery. Thanks for watching, and happy hunting, collectors.